Cheers. So today I'm going to offer a guide, somewhat of a DIY tutoring guide for those of you who are trying to do a tutoring business or a tutoring side hustle or anything in between actually. So this is more of a how to get into a mindset of working in a tutoring business or a tutoring organization. It doesn't necessarily have to be a business. It could just be that you're trying to learn how to cope with having to tutor. Either you're volunteering or you have some kind of necessity to tutor. So I would assume that you have some kind of goals already, academic goals, and you have some kind of background, whether if it's math or literature, English, writing, whatever, or maybe even a guitar player that's trying to tutor. Basically, it applies to all, mostly all. So I would start with making or setting some goals and objectives. And one of the first ones would be to provide yourself with some good training to build the skills needed to assist students or whatever on whatever they're wanting to improve. Either improve their performance on a certain course or just to become better students. The other another goal or objective would be to create somewhat of a network, an academic network in a variety of subjects. Since you are trying to, if you are doing a business especially, you should have two or three different subject or course levels. Like for example, elementary school math to high school math, middle school math, or university math. You should target more than two type of students or than two types of subjects, just so you can have enough opportunities. So I would not just know the subject, but have references, kind of like maybe some textbooks, maybe some membership in some kind of Skillshare or whatever type of website, or even make yourself a guide. That's kind of what I do. I just make a whole library, from first grade to calculus or whatever, guides, personal guides that help me when I need help, because you do forget some of the stuff and you want to be prepared. And this will be like a varied sort of support system or network. It could include people too, like teachers you might know, or students in universities, that kind of stuff. Another thing that I believe a lot on or in is that create a mobile office. For some, this might be just a computer, a laptop, or a tablet, where you can have everything like your references. You can have guides. You can have some kind of platform, like a whiteboard or something that you can take notes from. Maybe videos that you like or that can be helpful, or that you can use while you're tutoring. So this will be a mobile office. For others, it might be notebooks that have specific notes, or notebooks to take notes, varied types of writing utensils, maybe rulers. Some people like to carry dice, cards, kind of like an office and its accessories so you can tutor. So you have to create something that, like you can bring out tools when you're in the tutoring sessions. This will help a lot, especially when you run out of things to do. So that would be create a mobile office, or you can even rent one. And just keep in mind that if you rent an office, you're gonna have to keep security, the rent, lease, whatever. Um, you're gonna have to pay for electricity and all this other stuff. Just keep that in mind. There's a bigger cost to that. So also, I would learn to increase, or learn to, how do you say it? Keep keep a good self esteem, or good self confidence, or self image. Keep yourself afloat mentally, I guess. Learn to increase your self esteem when you're down. That's a very good tool, because sometimes you're not gonna want to go and tutor, or you're not gonna want to go to work, and absences are actually pretty bad if you fail. If you don't show up, like let's say you're sick or you're feeling bad and you don't show up, that could be the death of that client or that situation, or many, because people can spread the word. So learn to keep yourself in good standing, I guess. Some good practices would be like, these are good practices. It just means that good habits or good things to do while you're in a tutoring business. So just keep in mind that the students' proficiency, or subject proficiency, or improving the students' uh, proficiency in your tutoring course, or I mean tutoring subject, is priority. So your priority is not making money. It's not, making it fun. It's not, being in good terms with the parent. It's not, like being the nice guy, or being considered smart, or whatever. Your students' proficiency, or increase in proficiency, is the priority. That's how you're going to get more referrals, by bettering the student's knowledge, or general study habits, or whatever. Just make them a better student. You, as a tutor, should find a decent amount of motivation in the student. You should be able to find ways to increase self confidence, and to or ways, and this might come by you creating an easier, or a more comfortable atmosphere for learning for that student. Usually that's the real problem. Like, a lot of times the students are afraid of their teachers, or they're afraid of being embarrassed, and they're afraid of looking too smart sometimes. So create a learning environment, you know, to improve the confidence of the student. Also, convince yourself that the student deserves and will receive your total attention. That's because some students, they don't really need help, but that's kind of what it looks like. But I've tutored some kids that look smart, but they missed maybe a couple months of school, they were sick or something weird. But they're not going to tell you exactly what happened, or how it happened, or what they're missing. Maybe they don't even know. So just because the student is, you think they're smart, or they're, maybe they're lazy or whatever, don't judge them. Just do your job and get creative and figuring out what's going on, and stay positive, and just give them all your attention. Communication also, in language. You should always be at the same level as a student, meaning make sure they understand what you're saying. And don't use like academic type of words, like if they're in third grade or fourth grade. Don't use jargon, like anything, any word that you think that student might have a hard time understanding. Don't use it. Keep it simple. Also, any tutor must, you must be able to admit that you have weaknesses too, and you make mistakes. You might tell a student something, or you might help them, like do a problem and it comes out wrong. Don't don't pretend that it's not wrong or whatever. Just tell them, hey, maybe I forgot how to do this, or I need to go and check out. Get back to the student with the correct answer and something that you can explain. You don't have to be perfect. The goal is to teach, not to seem smart. Also, respect the student's personal dignity. Like, if they can't do something really easy, like maybe adding or subtracting, or they write, a number weird or something, just let them know that it's not normal. I mean, like, let's say if they write the four like a D or something weird, or some letter, just tell them, but don't make it seem that bad, and just don't judge the student either. Because if you do, even if you don't tell them, they're gonna know. Also, constantly encourage, but never insult with false hope or empty flattery. Like, don't hype them up if they're making mistakes, or don't hype them up if they are just overcoming something simple. Because if you hype them up, they might think they're smart or something, and they might show off with their friends or their parents or their brothers and siblings or whatever, and they might get made fun of. So just let them know that they're improving, or if they're doing something good, like something super hard for their grade level or whatever. Yeah, hype them up, give them some good props. But if they're not, don't fake it, and strive for mutual relationship of openness. Kind of like, be honest with your student. Like, if they ask you, this and that, just be honest with them. Like, do most kids get this wrong, or is this common mistake? Just be honest with them. It's not a common mistake, but it's fine. That kind of have that kind of relationship. Don't lie to the kid and tell them that it's a tough problem when it's not. And this is pretty much key, because I think a lot of, not a lot, but I've seen a few tutors that do this. Don't impose any personal values or any lifestyles on your students. Don't try and change them. Like, it's kind of annoying seeing this. You're there to help them, maybe fill in the blanks from their education, but other than that, you're not there. You're not really trying. You shouldn't be trying to be friends or change their life or anything like that. Maybe change their life through academic, like through math or something. But don't impose any personal values or lifestyles. Do not use tutoring situations to preach any personal belief system. It's weird if you are. I mean, other than good habits, I guess, like academic habits. All right, let me get comfortable. Also, these are some more good practices. Never do the student's work. I know there's sometimes when maybe your tutoring session might be ending or you want to cover more, and it's an easy problem, and you think if you do it for them, they're gonna learn it. I mean, if the student needs to do it, just finish it, and even if it's wrong, let it go. Just tell them, like we're gonna have to revisit this the next session, or tell the parent that that was an important thing to revisit. Maybe you could ask for more time. Most parents will gladly pay an extra 30 minutes, to do something necessary. So don't ever finish or do the student's work. Count, and also count on some students. They might know more than you think they do. So you might learn things from them, or at least learn to do your job better. So do your best to be punctual and keep appointments, not only out of courtesy but also as an example for your student. Maintain good records, like lesson plans and progress data. Maybe you want to keep dates, time, the times you got there, the time that you left, the date. Sometimes they'll ask you for these things. You want to have a good record of them. So, what are good qualities of a good tutor? At least personally, I think these are. Some may not agree, but most probably will. So, a good tutor, or what does it take to be an effective tutor? So, a good tutor is not necessarily a likable tutor or a nice tutor. Well, those will be nice to be combined, but a good tutor would be more of an effective tutor, a tutor that changes or that creates value. And these things are usually, they come with sensitivity. You need to be patient also, and you need to have a little bit of compassion, or a lot sometimes. Just remember that most good tutors care about improving their students. So what do I mean by be sensitive? So be sensitive to the unique needs of your students. Not all students need the same thing, and some of them need more than others. So put your student at ease. That would be the first thing, to make sure your student is comfortable with you and the subject, or whatever you're tutoring on, course material, whatever. Just create a welcoming feeling. Like, make sure they're not afraid. A lot of times they're afraid. Get to know him or her, or get to know them on a personal level. Like, let them know that you're from the city, whatever city, and if you're not from that city, hey, tell them you're from a different city or whatever. Give them a little bit of your character. Like, explain kind of like who you are a little bit, not too personal, but enough for them to see you as a person, and vice versa. Get to know them. What kind of sports they like, what do they do at school, what's important to them. um, Also realize that your student may be embarrassed to ask for help. That's more than likely they are, or they're afraid, not just embarrassed. And remember that pretty much everybody needs help at some point or sometime. Try to relate some personal experience with, whatever situation or whatever learning situation you're dealing with. That usually helps most students. So what do I mean by be patient? So, be patient with your students. Maybe sometimes you need to be patient with the parents. This could possibly be the most challenging of all, because sometimes the parents are the reason why these students are not doing well. So maybe there's some weird negative dynamic between the parent and the student. So just, just be patient. And progress really takes time. So you can't undo any of the problems, or maybe bad habits or negative attitudes that have evolved through the student's experience. So the only thing you can do is try and balance it out, or cover some of the material they might have missed, or like change the mindset about whatever topic or theme, or whatever happened, or just ignore it sometimes. Try um, try different ways of, or different methods of instruction. Just maybe try and gauge the learning style for that student, or the combination of learning styles, and be aware that we all learn in different ways, or at different rates. Not everybody's the same. Be compassionate. So what is compassion, or what does it mean to be compassionate? At least in this, through through this perspective, I guess I would say, well, what do I mean by compassionate? Accept your student as a person. Not as a number, I guess. Keep in mind that they have feelings, they have things going on in their life. Even though there might be kids, they got a lot of things going on, and you don't know about it. So be willing to be committed. Also, like, even if it gets hard, don't quit. Just tell the student that you're not gonna quit on them, basically, because probably a lot of people have. Be empathetic. Attempt, attempt to feel what your student is feeling. Like, put yourself in their shoes. Okay.